The Raptors are in desperate need to add in some rim protection in the offseason, but they could address this in the draft with Christian Koloko. So in today's video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about the exciting prospect and why the Raptors should draft him with the 33rd overall pick. Let's get into it. What up, ballers? It's Jacob here, back with Amateur Hour Sports for another Toronto Raptors YouTube video. On this channel, I'm giving you the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news all throughout the offseason, especially leading up to the NBA draft. So if you like what you see from today's video, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel to stay up to date with all of that great content. Help us on the road to 10,000 subscribers. And if you find yourself enjoying this video along the way, don't be afraid to drop a like. I would really love to hit 200 likes on today's video. And today we are talking about Christian Koloko, somebody that could be available for the Raptors to select with that 33rd overall pick they have in the 2022 NBA entry draft. I've seen a lot of people in the comments of my videos, in the comments of my community posts, saying they just don't really know anything about the players available in the second round for the Raptors. They just don't really have an interest in these players that I'm talking about because they just don't know anything about them. Well, I would encourage you to really dial into today's video because I'm really giving you a breakdown on a guy that I think would be exciting for the Raptors to draft in this position. What these videos are designed to do is educate you on the players that could be available, and it would make the draft a little bit more exciting for you to watch, knowing that maybe there's a prospect available that you want the Raptors to select, or just knowing anything about the prospects that are going at that point in the draft. It would make it more exciting to see where the Raptors are selecting. And that player that I find exciting, again, is going to be Christian Koloko, a center coming out of Arizona. He has played quite a few years in college, so maybe one of the older players, but there is a ton of talent that this guy can offer to the Raptors at 33rd overall that could make him quite a little bit of a steal if the Raptors can get their development right, which they have done so on many occasions. Some occasions maybe not, but a lot of the times the Raptors seriously hit in the draft, and this could be another case of that, and we are going to find out why. Because what we're going to do in today's video, first of all, give you a little bit of an introduction to Christian Koloko, who he is, a little bit of his size, measurements, and all of that stuff. Then we are going to go into his college stats, what he displayed in his final season of college before declaring for the draft. Then we're going to go into his strength, his weaknesses, and then we're going to finish off with a player comparable, and this is pretty exciting. You want to stick around to the end of the video so you can see that. So first of all, who is Christian Koloko? Again, coming out of Arizona, he is a center. Technically, he's not 22, but he will be in 4 days. So for the purpose of this video, I am just going to say he's 22 years old. I'm going to say that throughout the rest of this video if that ever comes up again. He measures at 7'1". He actually measured at 7'0" at the combine, but Arizona listed him at 7'1". So I guess something to take note of. The wingspan is something that has really improved his draft stock in the combine. He actually measured in at a 7'5" and a quarter wingspan. Now, that makes a lot of NBA scouts happy, and I tell you what, that's going to make a lot of Raptors scouts happy having that measurement. But you know, there's a lot of tall guys. What does Christian Koloko do that makes him so special? Why would the Raptors want to draft him, especially a Raptors team who's kind of deviating away from having a true center on their team? They're kind of, you know, going with the positionless game, going with those more 6'9", 7-foot wingspan guys who can play any position. Well, you know, I'll tell you why, because there is a lot that this guy can offer. Statistically, he showcased in his final season of Arizona some really promising signs. And I think one of the most promising things about these statistics here is that he improved so drastically this season compared to his previous season. He actually won the MIP for his conference because in this season, he did average 12.6 points per game, which isn't really anything remarkable, but Christian Koloko does a lot of the things off the ball, not really in the box score, that it has a big influence on the success or failure of his team. And one of those things is his defense. He is such a good defender and also a good rebounder, averaging 7.3 rebounds per game. That's a nice stat. 0.8 steals is also something to look at, and the blocks. Now, this is something that can be pretty exciting to look at. 2.8 blocks per game. That is excellent. This is somebody that can really anchor a defense and just hold down the fort, kind of like what Rudy Gobert does for the Utah Jazz, except you don't have to pay him $40 million. You know, I'm not saying he's as good as Rudy Gobert, but what I'm saying is with the ability to anchor a defensive unit, just make the entire team better defensively just by having that presence in the paint. That is something that he displayed in his college season with Arizona. Also, pretty good shooting metrics. I mean, 63%, 64% shooting from the field. That's great. You know, it's somebody shooting at the rim a lot, but nonetheless, that is something to take note of. And what's really interesting to me, and this will come up again later, is that free throw percentage. 74% from the line for somebody who is over 7 feet tall. Like, that's pretty damn good, because this might be somebody you want to foul a lot because he's really tough to stop in the paint, but he can hit those free throws, and more importantly, has the shooting stroke to do so, which will appear in the strengths, which we are now getting to for the player. There was a lot of things you really have to like about Christian Koloko here, and one of the biggest things is his size, as we talked about. Over 7 feet tall, over 7'5" wingspan. Like, that coupled with the athleticism that he's displayed, this could be a very exciting prospect for the Toronto Raptors to work with. All this size kind of makes him a good rebounder by itself. You know, just being 7 feet tall is going to get you a lot of rebounds at any level of basketball, but he is a smart rebounder, reads the bounces pretty well, but, you know, gets away with a lot of it because of his height. Let's be honest. Along with his defense, he's a very good shot blocker. And, you know, we could use the cop-out thing that he is just tall, but looking at the tape, it's not just that. His timing is very good, especially as the help defender on those shot block attempts. Like, when he can sense that somebody's going to hit a turnaround shot, he'll be there. He'll get up there, and he uses those hops. He uses that size to get that block, and sometimes just plays volleyball and swats some of these shots going up in his paint, which is very nice to see. Also, has the ability with the athleticism to kind of defend in the perimeter as well. Isn't the best at it, let's be honest, 7 feet tall, but can get out there, can do a job, is pretty good in drop coverage, you know, when he's put in the pick and roll situations, does a pretty good job in drop coverage against smaller players, especially on the perimeter. That's a promising sign that you can work with as well. But on the offensive end, also has some talent. He played soccer growing up in Cameroon, so the footwork is very good. I would say that there is a bit of a correlation playing soccer at a young age and having that good footwork translating to basketball, so that's very good to see. And he uses that footwork really well in the paint. Has some good post moves, you know, has the hook, has the ability to hit a turnaround jumper, things that kind of mix up his game on the interior when it can be a little bit one-dimensional sometimes because of that height and maybe because of a lack of a jump shot, but does have good shooting form. There's like decent signs that he might be able to develop some sort of a jump shot in the NBA. Can sometimes hit that mid-range shot at the college level. And you know, he's a very young player. He's only 22. I mean, that's pretty old for a player you want to draft at a college, but there are signs there that you can work with as the Raptors to get something out of that jump shot in the future. Now, we must assess the weaknesses of this player as well. There's a lot of good things to talk about with this player, the way he can anchor defense, how good of a defender he is. Some are saying that he might just be the best defender in the draft, and you know, certainly there is a case to make for Christian Koloko in that regard. And there are some great things to talk about offensively, but there are the weaknesses, as I mentioned. And main thing, the draft age. You know, you're maybe not going to get the most amount out of this player as a prospect just because he is already 22 years old. Then you go to his playmaking and ball handling. Now, this is a bit of a concern for me for the player. There are going to be concerns for any player in this range at 33rd overall. So might be a big one, because if he gets the ball on the outside and he can just get trapped, he falls into a little bit of a hole. He doesn't really have the passing to bail himself out. He doesn't really have the ball handling to bail himself out, and that can be a little bit of a problem. He actually turned the ball over more often than he set up his teammates for a bucket and getting assists. So 1.6 turnovers per game, a lot of it had to do with things just like this. Also, worthy of mentioning, one-dimensional, like I said, he is a rim runner type of player. We'll see with the player comparable. That may not be the worst thing in the world, but like, he's a rim-to-rim guy. Not really playing on the outside at all on offense. Not playing on the outside at all on offense. Defensively, you don't really want him to do that. If he has to, like I said, he can do a job, but you want him on the inside on both ends of the court. And the final thing I have is an unreliable jump shot. So, like I said, there are some signs that it's developing, but it's just not there yet. It's not something that the Raptors can trust from day one. It's not something the Raptors 9 to 5, if you were to go there, could trust from day one. But I think a lot of the great things about this player makes up for some of the shortcomings. And again, you know, we're drafting at 33rd overall. You're not going to find the perfect player. This is somebody that the Raptors can work with. So now, the player comparable for Christian Koloko. This isn't exactly the perfect player comparable, I will admit, but it is just kind of showcasing that this style of player, who maybe doesn't have a perimeter game on either end of the floor, can still succeed in the NBA. And the player comparable I've used is Mitchell Robinson. Very lengthy, very good defender, good shot blocker, can get to the rim, get his points there. Isn't the most prolific scorer by any means whatsoever, but there is a place for guys like him in the NBA. You look at Robert Williams as well, another decent comparable, playing in the NBA Finals. Like, Rob Williams, Time Lord, doesn't have an outside game on offense, and on defense, can kind of do a decent job in drop coverage, but like, we're seeing Steph Curry expose that a lot of the time. But Robert Williams was a part of the best defensive team I may have ever seen, especially this season. Like, that was the best defensive team in the NBA this season. The way the Celtics have played and rode that defense to an NBA Finals where, granted, time of recording, it's 3-2 Warriors. It's still possible for the Celtics to win, as painfully as it is to admit. But what I'm saying with these player comparables is, the length, the size, being able to use that, the wingspan to be a good rebounder, be a good shot blocker, and still, finish at the rim on the other end, be a very interior-oriented player, dominate the paint on both ends of the floor. That player can still exist in the NBA today, and that player can still exist successfully. That's something that even I have to remind myself a lot of the time, where I really want like the perfect team where everybody can play on the outside, everybody can be switchable, and the Raptors want to develop that as well. But this could really be a good defensive anchor for the Raptors. Not from day one, he's going to need a bit of time, but somebody who only started playing basketball at 12 years old and having made such a big jump this season compared to 2 seasons ago, last season, this may not be his final form. Like, there could be another big jump, another few big jumps on the way for a raw player like Christian Koloko, and that is somebody the Raptors might want to gamble on because of a lack of rim protection on the team. Masai Ujiri has said himself they need rim protection. This could be the problem solver for the Raptors, somebody could develop for the long term. So what do you guys make of this prospect, Christian Koloko? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Check out the community tab as well to see a poll I have on the player. But that is it for me for today's video. If you did find yourself enjoying this video, it would mean a lot if you did drop a like. It takes you a second to do, but it really does help out the channel a lot, and YouTube can recommend this video to more people like yourself who may have interest in videos like this on Amateur Hour Sports channel, where you get some great NBA content. If you found yourself enjoying this video as well and you're not subscribed, be sure to do so. Help us on a road to 10,000 subscribers. I promise you will not regret it. I'll keep you entertained all throughout the off season and beyond that. Check out our Twitch streams at twitch.tv/amateursports, and check out our Discord with the link in the description, and I'll see you again next time for another video.